Hello, and welcome back to WACS Weekly. I'm your host, Anthony Kudla.
And I'm your co-host, Lily.
Can you believe that's the last time you'll ever hear me say that?
I know, it's really sad. Happy summer vacation, Alden!
Only one more block to go. But for now, let's get into the news.
Attention students, if you ordered a chance to do so. Stop down to room 115 ASAP.
Students in grades 9 to 11 without Regents exams, make sure to turn your devices in today.
If you do have exams, bring your Surface to turn on the day of your last exam.
Do the sports of volleyball, football, cross country, girls swimming, boys golf, or girls tennis pique your interest?
If they do, remember to sign up on Family ID.
Speaking of athletics, congratulations goes out to varsity softball player Lily Bromstead. She writes the script. And Sylvia White for being selected as all Western New York All-Stars for small schools throughout Western New York.
That's a huge accomplishment. Great job, girls.
Time to go on our weekly little adventure through the halls.
It's WACS on a Walk with Avery Stahl.
Welcome to WACS on a Walk, and we're interviewing people about Anthony Kudla.
That's me, Tony Kuz.
What are some words to describe Kudla?
Funny, outgoing, and a good person to be around.
Athletic.
Okay, all right.
He's a very kind person. He's very outgoing. He can make anyone laugh, even in like very odd situations.
Iconic, funny, interesting.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's a good one.
Funny, caring, and very smart. He's very smart.
And then how many times do you think he runs his hands through his hair a day?
At least 25.
Okay, yeah, that's,
I would say like a solid 60, honestly.
yeah.
About 100.
Yes, okay.
I run mine through his. Is there like a real number? Do you guys know a real number?
He does have a real number.
Oh, I'm gonna go with I'll go 65.
He said 365. Oh yeah, best impression of Anthony Kudla.
This is the news, and I'm Coods.
So Claire, you're in WACS. Start over. So Claire, you're in WACS. What are you gonna miss most about Kudla?
Probably the fact that every single WACS class, he leaves his lunch sit on the table, like half eaten, and we all have to like work around his lunch.
Thank you all for coming on a little journey for WACS on a Walk, my last episode. I'd like to thank Avery for filling in. WACS on a Walk this year was a new little twist we had, so I'm super grateful and super happy that you got to be a part of this year. You're gonna be missed.
You too.
All I do is win no matter what. And got money on my mind when I walk into the building.
Okay.
And everybody's hands go up and they stay there.
We aren't done. We have compiled a little slideshow of all our favorite memories of you during your career as your first ever WACS Weekly anchor. Let's take a look.
Hello, and welcome to WACS Weekly. I'm your host, Anthony Kudla, and it's time to kick off a brand new season of WACS News. I'm your host, Anthony Kudla. Let's get into the news. I'm your host, Anthony Kudla. I'm your host, Anthony Kudla. I'm your host, Anthony Kudla. Let's get into the news. I'm your host, Anthony Kudla. I'm your host, Anthony Kudla. I'm your host, Anthony Kudla. I'm your host, Anthony Kudla.
Welcome back to WACS Weekly. My name's Officer Ashley. I'm your school resource officer. And back to you, Anthony, for the news.
In case you are wondering, I am not Tom Cruise. I'm your host, Anthony Kudla, and let's get into the news. 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 Into the news. Into the news. Let's get into the news. Thanks, Josh. Into the news. The news. I'm your host, Anthony Kudla, and it's the last episode of WACS Weekly. We're going out with a bang. Summer, I could get used to this. No rules, no responsibilities, living the best life. Is it rolling? How do you know you don't know it's rolling? I got my feet up in the air like I'm in a space capsule. Howdy, and welcome back to WACS Weekly, partners. I'm your host, Anthony Kudla, and let's get into the news. Get into the news. Hey, hold up. I'm your host, Elvis Presley, AKA Anthony Kudla. Let's get into the news. Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's get into the news. I'm your host, Anthony Kudla,
And I'm your co-host, Lily.
And let's get into the news. If you know, you know. I'm your host, Anthony Kudla, and let's get into the news. The news. Let's get into the news. Hello, welcome back to WACS Weekly. I'm your host, Elvis Presley, aka Anthony Kudla. Let's get into the news. Thank you. Thank you very much. The news. The news. The news. Bulldogs out. Bulldogs out. Bulldogs out. Bulldogs out.
Thank you for all the effort and passion you put in towards WACS Weekly, Coods. You will be missed by the Alden community dearly.
Thank you. We hope you all have the safest and best summer yet.
Make sure to study hard and ace all your Regents exams. I'll see you next year, Alden High School.
I won't.
You won't.
Well, God, here I go. That's the news, and this is Coods.
And Lily.
Bulldogs out. So now that the episode's over, I'd like to thank a couple people for who's helped me out and who I've come a long way with through my career.
I'd first like to thank people from last year, Emily Robertson and Madeline Schmidt. They were the script writers and graphic makers for last year, and I just wanted to thank them a lot for the contributions that they did for the show. Another person I'd also like to thank from last year was Matt Sugg. He was our editor. He kind of did it all. I mean, he was like a one-man wrecking crew, and I kind of owe a lot to Matt Sugg. He kind of got the show like up and running a little bit, gave it a look, made it look good. So those are like the first-year guys who really did a lot of groundwork.
This year, I'd like to thank, we had a couple of people in and out, so.
Gwen did the show a little bit. I'd like to thank her and her time on the show. I'd like to thank Marissa for making the graphics this year. She did a great job making the graphics. Lily Bromstead, she did an amazing job writing the script, taking over for Gwen. I mean, she picked right up where she left off, so big kudos to her. And Emma Everett, who took over for Matt Sugg. She did a great job. She gave the show a very modern, new look with new music. Absolutely amazing job. She got the show into the 21st century and made it even better than it already was.
I feel like that's it. No, I'm just kidding.
Hello.
I was joking.
I'd like also to thank Lily Pendrak. When she came on the show to make the show even more entertaining, she's taken over for me next year. I think she'll do a great job with it.
Mr. D, for those of you that don't know how I really got here.
When I was younger, I was really quiet as a freshman, believe it or not. Now you can't get me to shut up. During the badminton tournament, Mr. Edward, I think, was out sick or he couldn't come in, and they needed somebody to MC the badminton tournament. And the gym was completely empty. There's nobody there. And I just start, just pretending like the tournament's going on and announcing it. So then someone walked in the room. It was Mrs. Sue and Mr. D. And I looked at Mr. D, and he said, I have the perfect job for you. And it turned out that it was this new show called WACS Weekly. I had no clue what that was, and he wanted me to be the face of it. I think it was 70-something episodes. Well, 70-something episodes later, it turned out to be a part of me. It was something that I was, and we always end our week with this show. And I feel that it's kind of ironic that I'm ending my school as a senior with the show.
I never thought in a million years Mr. D would, take a chance on me. And I think that really shows that if you put yourself out there and you don't care what anybody thinks, a lot of great things can come out of it. So just be you, live in the moment, and put yourself out there. And who knows, something great come out of it. And once I leave high school and I continue to do great things, I'm always going to look back on this. So once again, I don't know how I can thank you, but thank you.